Hello, welcome to my channel Lagging Behind, the first lesson of grade 12, the last lesson. This itself is an irony. Irony is something when it is said, but the meaning is totally opposite. The first lesson is the last lesson. It is written by Alfonso Daudet. This is the name of author. Author is a French person. So this author, being a French man, uh, dictates tells about his own feeling, his own understanding perspective of invasion, capturing of others land, right? So let us directly move. So if you were to say justify the title, board question often come justifying the title. The Justify the title. So you can say that the last lesson is perhaps one of the story wherein a French teacher gives his last lesson because of the invasion of German forces, right? Yeah. So let's do the chapter quickly. I have seen a trend of having a lot of question being taken from the paragraph of the story. So let's go to the story itself. Let's do one shot revision and I will be giving posting questions by and by. I started for school very late that morning and was in a great dread of scolding. Dread means afraid. He was quite afraid of getting scolded by M. Hamel. This is the first character. So M. Hamel was the teacher who was going to ask questions on participle. What is participle? It's a grammatical tool wherein there is present participle and past participle, and I did not know the first word about them. So this little boy, we'll come to know about him. He is known as Franz, Franz. Franz, little boy, was in a dread of scolding. Question can be formed: why was the little Franz in a dread of scolding? Because he was going to be asked about the question on participles and he did not know first word about them, right? And it was warm, bright. The birds were chirping at the edge and in open field. This is 2024 question. Yes. So the question was what tempted the little boy, and was he really tempted? Was he really? But I had the strength to resist, so he was not really tempted and he went to the school. You can understand the importance of reading each paragraph, right? Okay. When I passed the town hall, there was a crowd in front of bulletin board. For last 2 years, all our bad news had come from there. The lost battle, the draft, the order of commanding officer, and I thought to myself without stopping, what can be the matter now? So there were a lot of setback for the country France. So what could be the matter now? They were already used to being at a disadvantageous position, right? uh, Next paragraph. Then I hurried by as fast as I could. The blacksmith watcher, who was there with his apprentice means assistant. Blacksmith is a person who works on iron. They cast the iron and make things out of iron. Name, the watcher is the name of the blacksmith, who was there with the apprentice reading the bulletin, called after me. Don't go so fast, bub. You will get to your school in plenty of time. I thought he was making fun of me and reached M. Hamel's little garden all out of breath. So this was a sarcastic comment. This was a sarcastic comment. Obviously, he did not mean to say that. He meant it to say that go fast. You don't have really plenty of time to reach to the school. And anyhow, he reached M. Hamel's garden out of breath. Usually, when school began, this is very important for your board exam. Usually, when school began, there was a great bustle which could be heard out in the street. The opening and closing of desk, lesson repeated in unison, very loud with our hands over our ears to understand better, and the teacher's great ruler rapping on the table, very important. So what happened, what was the usual atmosphere of the school? Usually there was a great bustle means there was a lot of noise and commotion, and there could be that could be heard in the stage. The opening and the closing of desk, lesson repeated in unison, very loud, and everything was, chaotic, as it happened in the school, everyone going here and there. And but now it was also still, I had counted on the commotion to get, this is a very important line again. Why did he counted on the commotion to get to his desk without being seen? Because in that hustle and bustle, in that crowded environment, he thought to sneak in into his desk and sit, so that no one can actually notice that he was late for the school. Through the window, I saw my classmate already in their places, and M. Hamel walking up and down with his terrible iron ruler under his arm. I had to open the door and go in before everybody. You can imagine how I blushed and how frightened I was. So he's giving his own perspective. Even again, important this line. Okay, but nothing happened. M. Hamel saw me and said very kindly, "Go to your place quickly, little Franz. We were beginning without you." So that what was unusual behavior of M. Hamel? Why didn't he react? That was that. Then we'll come to know a little later that something special where M. Hamel did not really reacted. Right? Yeah. I jumped over the bench and sat down at my desk. Not till then. When I had got little over my fright, he was frightened, little over his scaredness. Did I see that our teacher had a beautiful green coat, his frilled shirt and little black silk cap, all embroidered. So his teacher that day, Mr. M. Hamel, so M. Hamel had worn a special dress, had worn special dress that day. Beside, the whole school seemed so strange and solemn. Solemn means serious. The whole school was very serious. But the thing that surprised me the most was to see on the back benches that were always empty the village people sitting quietly like ourselves. Old Hauser with his three-cornered hat, the former mayor, the former postmaster, and several other besides. So, what was the most unusual things to see? That at the back benches there were people who were sitting, the villagers, who which usually was empty. At the back benches, villagers were sitting, which was usually empty. When I was wondering about it, M. Hamel mounted his chair in the same grave and gentle tone with which he used to tell, "My children, this is the last lesson I shall give you. The order has come from Berlin to teach only German in the schools of Alsace and Lorraine." So this is the two name you should remember, and the spelling mistake should not happen in this. So important 2025, I'm telling you, if question will come from this part itself. So he's telling, "My children, why exactly M. Hamel was specially dressed, what exactly happened that day? Because it was the order from Berlin to teach only German in school of Alsace and Lorraine, which are part of occupied France. Yes, the new master comes tomorrow. This is your last French lesson. I want you to be very attentive." What a thunderclap these words were to me. What a thunderclap means, there was like a thunderclap of words were to me. What a shocking, wow, surprising. Oh, the wretches, that was what they had put up at the town hall. So, oh, that wretches, oh, so pathetic thing. Now he understood why people were, no, why the people crowded near the bulletin board. So here, I passed the town hall. There was a crowd in front of bulletin board. This is the reason. This is the reason why people have made a crowd in that bulletin board. The news of that new teacher will come, French will be stopped from now onwards. Okay, I hardly knew how to write. I should never learn anymore. I must stop there. Then, oh, sorry, I was not learning my lesson. This is his own perspective. What tone is this? This is a tone of setback, regret, and melancholy. This is a tone of setback, regret, and melancholy, right? Important point. So what he did instead of learning French lesson, he, seeking bird's egg, going sliding on the Sar. Sar is the name of river. So he used to go to surf in the river Sar. My book that had been such a nuisance while ago, so heavy to carry, my grammar and my history of the saint were old friends now that could to given up. M. Hamel too, the idea that he was going away, that I should never see him again, made me forget all his ruler and how cranky he was. So yeah, his ruler and he's being cranky. He's being cranky means, what the meaning is, what the meaning of cranky means, someone who is very, irritating, someone who is very annoying. Okay, poor man. It was in honor of this last lesson that he had put his fine Sunday clothes. Now I understand why the old man of the village were sitting there in the back of the room. It was because they were sorry too and they had not gone to school more. So all the villagers pay tribute, wanted to pay tribute to the teacher who had served for 40 years in the school. It was their way of thanking our master for the 40 years of faithful service, right? And showing their respect for the country that was theirs no more. This is a very important line here, mark this. So that was a country there no more. This country is not there. From now onwards, it is occupied by the German forces, and they are compelling the people to learn German instead of French, their native language. While I was thinking of all this, I heard my name called. It was my turn to recite. What would I not have given to able to say that dreadful rule of Percival all through, very loud and clear without any mistake? But I got mixed up on the first word and stood there holding onto my desk, my heart beating and not daring to look up. So he could not properly even speak. I heard MML say to me, I won't scold you, little Franz, you must feel bad enough. See how it is. Every day we have said to ourselves, bah, I have plenty of time, I will learn it tomorrow. And now you see where you have come out. Ah, that's a great trouble with Alsace. She puts off learning till tomorrow. Now those fellows out there will have the right to say to you, how is it you pretend to be Frenchmen and yet you can neither speak nor write your own language, but you are not the worst, poor little France. So the teacher, he's giving his own perspective. He's telling that, see how poor even the other. It's not your fault exactly. How the people of Germany will treat you. They will tell you, pretend to be Frenchmen, to like you think that you are Frenchman, you show yourself to be a Frenchman, and you take pride in being a Frenchman, and yet you don't know how to speak, read, or properly enumerate and dictate in your own language, right? Yeah, your parents were not anxious enough to have you learn. They preferred you to put you to work on farm or at the mill so as to have little more money. And I have been to be blamed. Have I not often sent you to water my flowers instead of learning your French lesson? When I wanted to go fishing, did I not just give you a holiday? He's blaming himself too. He also did the wrong. So what did he do? He told that, okay, go and water my flowers in the garden. Rather, I would go fishing and you take a holiday. Then from one thing to another, M. Hamel went on to talk about the French language, saying it was a beautiful and most clarest language. So here it is the Germany, and they had occupied this part of Alsace and Lorraine, and this is it's totally this France, and the France was captured by German forces. Mm, yeah, and here somewhere they lived their little France, and yeah. Next, because when a people are enslaved, as long as they hold fast to their language, it is as if they had the key to their prison. Then he opened a grammar and read us our lesson. I was amazed to see how well I understood it. All he said seemed so easy, I think too, that I had never listened to so carefully, that he had never explained everything with so much patience. It seems almost as if the poor man wanted to give us all he knew before going, and to put it into our head at all in strokes. So the poor man, What did he wanted? He wanted that everything should be taught at once, and he wanted that everyone knew before his last lesson is over at least something of French, so that they can at least have a good memory in the last lesson and know certain thing about them. After the grammar, we had lesson in writing. That day M. Hamel had new copies for us, written in beautiful round hand, France, Alsace, France, Alsace. So the whole notebook was designed with France, Alsace, France, Alsace. They looked like little flag floating everywhere in schoolroom, hung from the rod at the top of our desk. You ought to have seen how everyone set to work. Now quiet it was, how quiet it was. The only sound was scratching of pens, and it was pin rub silent. Pin rub silence, and everyone was scratching on their pen and paper. Once some beetle flew in, but nobody paid any attention to them, not even the littlest one, who worked right on tracing their fish hook. And yes, the little one was, drawing and making sketches. On the roof, the pigeon cooed very low. I thought to myself, will they make them sing in German, even the pigeons? So it is again sarcastic, and the tone also is, quite mm, quite melancholic. The tone here is melancholic. Will they make them sing in German? Tone melancholic. Melancholic, melancholic, dejected. When a person uh, gives up fighting, trying, and the sad regret, delve into him. Whenever I looked up from my writing, I saw M. Hamel sitting motionless in his chair, gazing first at one thing, then at another, if he wanted to fix his mind just how everything looked in the little room. Fancy, for 40 years he had been there in the same place, with his garden outside the window and his class in front of him. Just like that, only the desks and benches had worn smooth. The walnut tree in the garden were taller, and half a vine that he had planted himself twined about the windows to the roof. How it must have been broken his heart to leave it all. Poor man, to his sister, moving out about in the room, packing the trunks, for they must leave the country the next day. But he had the courage to hear every lesson to the. After writing, he had the lesson in the history, and then the babies chanted, ba baby bo boo. Even the babies were there. All kinds of people came, the villagers, the little children, and everyone and did their own thing. There at the back of the room, old Hauser had put up his spectacle, holding his primer in both hands, spelled the letter with them. You could see that he too was crying. His voice trembled with emotion, and it was so funny to hear him that all wanted to laugh and cry. And how well, so emotion, what a wonderful emotion of laughing and crying together all at once. Church clock struck 12, then the Angelus. At the same moment, the trumpet of the Prussian returning from drill sounded under our window. M. Hamel stood up, very pale in his chair. I never saw him look so tall. My friend, I. What does this signify? This signify his word had stopped in the mouth. He could not, but something choked um, him. He could not go on. So he was so emotional. His throat just dried out. He could not go on. Then he turned to the blackboard, took a piece of chalk, and written "Vive la France" in large. Long live. This is in French, which means long live France. Then he stopped and leaned at his back wall without one, and made gesture with class dismissed, school dismissed. Yes. So, how did France feeling about the M. Hamel and school change? This is also an important question. I will take some important question from this chapter. I hope I could have finished it off in 20 minutes, and spare your 20 minutes. Go through this chapter, solve the question that I'm going to giving, and you will do great on the upcoming CBSE board exam class 12. Yeah.